sure how this is going to come off, and the reason why is because it's emotionally charged conversation. Sometimes talking and discussing gets those emotions off of your back and heart to where you can function with a little more clear thinking. That don't always work though. A lot of my conversations like that I have by myself, because even though I don't word it the right way, or I may not think I'm wording it the right way, when I'm talking in an audience of one, God listens and God understands what it is that I'm talking about. So it don't really much matter. But if you're checked in and tuned in and you listen to this or you hear this, hopefully it does something for you. Have mercy. And first things first, God makes it is what it is, was what it was, and gonna be what it's going to be. So let's get that out of the way. My family members and friends down home, back home in the dirty South, Hampton, Crocketville, Brunson, and Fairfax, Allendale, Vaughnville, Yemassee, all down that way yonder way, that part of South Carolina, took some strong hits. We lost some real ones, and it happened so close together to where it was like, I don't know. You just didn't have enough time to come up for air before you was getting pushed back down by something else you had to kind of swallow and deal with, if that makes any sense. And I know it's happened before. It's not the only time it's ever happened. Our family's not the only ones who've been hit probably with multiple losses of life, but that don't make it no easier, you know. And I'm not going to harp on something that sensitive and still so tender of a subject to make it some point of topic just to discuss, but I'm just making mention of it because I still feel it. And you know, and everybody cannot cope, everybody can't deal. So if you can relate on that level, then feel free to listen in. One of my cousins, you know, sometimes you lose touch in life because life has you growing up and then growing out. And when you get to be so big, I mean, you may not intend to, but after a while, yeah, you take on a different level of air. You take on another echelon of life, and you don't see the people you see as much. You don't talk to the people you would want to as much. And, you know, it's kind of up to everybody else to kind of understand, like, he ain't on the same level no more. He ain't in the same space no more. He's big now. He's grown from just being able to help us here in our little capacity to helping other people, other places, everywhere else. And you should be proud of him. You shouldn't hate him for that. Their level of greatness took on more responsibility. With a great person will come great responsibility. And that's what my cousin, Dana Dane Davis, that's who he was, that's how he was, and that's the space he took on. And I'm sure he still talked to a lot of people from back home, a lot of people who were still where we was raised up at, in the bottom, in the hole, you know what I'm saying, on the block, freaking Pepper Street, Wade Hampton Boulevard, everywhere down that way. I'm sure he still talked to some of the same people, and they probably still had means of getting in contact with him. But he took on a space bigger and broader than where he was raised up from. You know, he was like a big fish in a small pond, and he found his way to the ocean, and he swam his ass off. You know, so yeah, lost him. Not too much older than myself, and my cousin, my OG cousin, Ann Williams, she lost her husband. They call him Daddy Mike. Daddy Mike. His significance played a role more or less because she married him, and he came in a pivotal life of my cousins at that point. But you know, he and I had the same profession. He was a truck driver, but he was already a truck driver. I was learning to be one. So he came in a space where I needed help and needed advice and needed just somebody older to come in and kind of tell me the things that I didn't know and advise me the things I would not have known without going out there and falling over those hurdles and obstacles. He laid them out for me, and he laid them out on his time. People don't do that no more a lot. People don't do that no more a lot. So that was the significance of him. Within a matter of days, these two brothers was taken off the earth. But it'll bring some comfort, some solace, some small means of easing your heartache and the anxiety, because they were both men of God. You can take the question mark out of that point. These were both men of God. They didn't have to find their way, and they wouldn't have been lost if circumstances were different. They had already taken on the understanding of knowing that whatever happens, when it's all said and done, God will have the final say, and they was cool with that. Once you make your peace with that, yeah, life ain't nothing but just your opportunity to live a better and bigger one, a bigger and better one. If you believe in your heart of hearts that things gonna be greater later, that don't necessarily mean it's gonna happen on earth where everybody else can see it. You gotta be all right with that. You gotta be all right with that. Everybody's not going. Man, can I talk to you for a minute? Let me talk to you for a second. Let me tell you something. Like this or don't like it. There's one thing in acknowledgement, it's another thing in acceptance. And life on earth is one of those things, and nobody has the best or the perfect grasp of that. I don't think anybody else would say that they have. Especially if you've ever lived on earth any amount of time, everybody ain't still here that you once knew or cared about. So no matter how much you read, how much you've been told, how often it's told to you on Sunday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday, it doesn't matter how many times you're told it. It's one thing to acknowledge what the truth and the inevitable is. It's another thing to accept it. Them tears are still gonna fall. Your head is still gonna hang. You're gonna have them moments of life with that person, and you're gonna feel an absence as a result of them leaving. And nobody should have a problem with that. Nobody should have a problem with that. Don't bust my balls if I say, well, I know that there's a life for me after here. Well, then why are you so sad? Why? Because I'm sad. Somebody that I can shake hands with and hug every time I come home, and I can't now, and I'm supposed to, I am supposed to acknowledge that they're gone. Now I have to make the means to accept that it happened to somebody that I know, somebody close, and I wasn't expecting it. Oh, so-and-so died? Oh, yay! No, that's not going to be your first. No. And they was good, and God had them, and they're probably going to be in a bigger and better place, and they're going to be free from hurt, pain, lies, deceit, and sickness. But still, who got a heart like Hitler to where the first thing you don't feel is loss? And you know what happened to them, and you know where they went, but you got to accept it now. You acknowledge that they're gone, now you have to accept the loss of their presence. That ain't an easy thing to do. I don't know anybody who got it on lock like that, man. And the longer you live, the more you'll experience it, because if you ever knew anybody, the longer you hear them, the less of them there will be. And that's not an easy pill to swallow. But if you are in the comforts of somebody who knew the person that you lost, and you got a group or a gathering of people who knew the person you lost, y'all get together and cry, hug, high five, I don't care, drink, smoke, fellowship, and congregate in the absence of somebody that was worth celebrating, and enjoy that shit. Because that's the acknowledgement, and it'll help you with the acceptance. Because until you see that final resting, it's gonna be one hell of a pill to swallow. Oh, y'all. Williams, Smith, Davis, White, Robinson. It's such a vast amount of people that's related to the lives passing of these two people. I wouldn't have it no other way. If I could be there, I'd probably cater most of it, because, you know, it ain't never easy to see that body drop. And it never will be. And nobody should expect it to be. Especially if you truly loved and had true love for that person. These two people I know is exceptionally hard. Nonetheless, may they rest in peace. And may God be with y'all.